Hello, my name is Stephanie, and today I'll be discussing the fascinating topic of psychopaths and the prefrontal cortex. This presentation is a part of my final project for EDP310, Understanding the Brain. Psychopathy is a complex personality disorder often defined by a persistent pattern of antisocial behavior, impaired empathy, shallow emotions, and egocentricity. According to a research study by Bhattacharya, Kashyap, and Prasad in 2021, individuals with psychopathy tend to display significant deficits in emotional processing and moral judgment. These characteristics are strongly associated with abnormalities in the prefrontal cortex, a part of the brain that governs the decision-making, impulse control, and emotional regulation. Dysfunction in this brain region disrupts the ability to empathize or consider the consequences of harmful actions, which may contribute to the increased risk of violent or criminal behavior seen in psychopathic individuals. I chose this topic because I'm deeply interested in how brain structure shapes behavior, especially in extreme cases like psychopathy. As an emergency room nurse, I regularly see how mental health and neurological conditions affect patient care, communication, and safety. Understanding the neural basis of conditions like psychopathy can help reduce stigma and lead to better care in patient practices. It gives providers like me a more informed approach to supporting individuals whose behavior may stem from neurobiological causes. Recognizing these neurological contributions promotes a more holistic view of patient health. More often than I like to admit, patients with mental health concerns are sometimes quickly cleared for transfer to behavioral health facilities, assuming psychosis. However, advocating for basic imaging, such as a head CT scan, can rule out other neurological causes that might mimic psychiatric symptoms. The prefrontal cortex is a crucial area in the brain located at the front of the frontal lobes. It plays a central role in executive functioning, such as planning, impulse control, empathy, and moral judgment. Research has shown that damage or underdevelopment in this region can significantly impair a person's ability to regulate behavior, understand others' emotions, and make socially responsible decisions. These dysfunctions are often observed in individuals with psychopathic tendencies. A meta-analysis conducted by researchers Yang and Rain in 2023 synthesized findings from multiple brain imaging studies to investigate structural and functional brain differences in psychopathic individuals. They reported significantly reduced gray matter volume and hypoactivity in key areas of the prefrontal cortex. Gray matter is essential to the brain in processing information and coordinating functions. These neurological deficits were particularly linked to antisocial behavior, impulsivity, and aggression. The study emphasized the importance of brain structure in understanding violent tendencies among this population. For my second research article, researchers Bhattacharya, Kashyap, and Prasad in 2021 conducted a thorough review of neurological studies examining brain function in individuals with psychopathy. Their findings emphasize significant dysfunction in both the orbital frontal cortex, which governs evaluation of rewards and social cues, and the dorsolateral prefrontal cortex, which supports executive functioning, reasoning, and behavioral regulation. Disruption in these areas was closely linked to impaired empathy, poor moral reasoning, and diminished impulse control, all of which contribute to the social and emotional detachment commonly observed in psychopathic individuals. Researchers Mifret and Koenigs in 2022 emphasized the significance of connectivity between the prefrontal cortex and the amygdala. In individuals with psychopathy, this connection is often disrupted, leading to impaired emotional processing and decision-making. The amygdala is responsible for processing emotions such as fear and empathy. Without effective communication between these brain regions, the brain cannot properly weigh emotional consequences when making decisions, contributing to the callous and unemotional traits that are seen in psychopathy. Neurological impairments in the prefrontal cortex have profound effects on behavior. As supported by the studies I mentioned earlier from Yang and Rain in 2023, and Bhattacharya and others in 2021, these individuals tend to display impulsivity and emotional detachment and a lack of remorse. They may also struggle with moral decision-making and empathy, making them more prone to engage in criminal or antisocial behavior. These patterns underline the need for targeted interventions that account for both behavioral and neurological aspects. Understanding the neurological basis of psychopathy is crucial in nursing and healthcare settings. Recognizing that these behaviors stem from brain dysfunction allows healthcare providers to approach patients with more empathy and less judgment. This knowledge also supports the development of individualized care plans to prioritize both the patient needs and safety protocols. As Murfett and Koenigs in 2022 suggested, awareness of brain-behavior relationships can reduce stigma and promote ethical and compassionate care. The most important thing I've learned is that psychopathy has a measurable neurological basis, especially involving the prefrontal cortex. This brain region governs core human abilities like empathy, self-control, and moral reasoning. Studies by Yang and Rain and Bhattacharya and Murfett and Koenigs and others show that structural and functional deficits in this region strongly correlate with psychopathic behavior. For someone in the nursing field, this insight helps me view patient behavior through a more informed, compassionate lens and reminds me of the importance of treating the brain and behavior as deeply interconnected. Why others should learn this? The information about psychopathy and the brain has broad implications. In fields like education, criminal justice, and especially healthcare, understanding how neurological impairments influence behavior can foster better strategies for intervention and support. As emphasized throughout my presentation, promoting this kind of knowledge encourages crucial thinking, reduces harmful stigma, and builds a more empathic and informed society. And these references listed were instrumental in shaping this presentation and provided detailed insights into the neurological and psychological components of psychopathy. Each one was peer-reviewed and reflects up-to-date findings on how the prefrontal cortex abnormalities influence that behavior. Thank you.